From above, the United Arab Emirates looks like an arrow meeting point between three powerful landscapes. The Arabian Gulf or Msashalau, island-studded coast to the north, sand plains and dune fields spread inland toward the Rub al-Khali or Rems Quarter. In the east, the Hajar Mountains rises sharply before descending to the Gulf of Oman, across roughly Bashasan. Lubai square kilometers, 7 Emirates share 1 federation, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Oman, Quain, Ras Al Khaimah and Fujairah. Their borders create a surprisingly intricate map with enclaves and coastlines that are flexed-holder settlements, tribal territories and access to water. Modern skylines dome in it the world's image of the country, but the deeper geography is a contrast between sear outs, desert corridors, mountain valleys and scarce fresh water. That physical framework still determines where cities grow, where roads run, and where ecosystems survive. Abu Dhabi is both the federal capital and by far the largest emirate, occupying most of the country's land. Its city developed on an island close to the mainland protected by shallow water, tidal flats, and a chain of coastal lands. Bridge now connect a broad urban region of government districts, ports, homes, and cultural landmarks. Beyond the skyline, however, the Emirate opens into a much larger geography. Salt flats called Abcaps occupy low coastal ground. Mangrove channels cut through sheltered water. Farther west, industrial ports, energy infrastructure, and island reserves are separated by long distances. The contrast is visible from the air. Careful up-planned boulevards and towers meet pale flats where the boundary between land and sea can difficult to define. Abu Dhabi's scale gives it room for expansion, but also makes transport, water and habitat protection national questions rather than merely urban ones. Dubai grew around a tidal inlet known as Dubai Creek, where wooden trading vessels linked the Gulf with port across the Indian Ocean. The old commercial districts of Fujairah and Dubai still face each other across this waterway, but the modern city now extends far along the coast and deep into the desert. Highways, petrol lines, airports, and logistics owns rival metropolis, Delta movement. The skyline is not one center but a chain of districts, from the creek and down towers to Dubai Marina and Jubilee artificial islands, and reclaimed shorelines turned coastal engineering into part of the city's visual identity. Yet this expansion depends on systems that are mostly invisible from a distance. Desalinated water, district cooling, imported food, and a large international labor force from above. Dubai appears futuristic, but its success still follows the same geographic advantage that shaped the creek, a strategic position between regions and markets. North of Dubai, the urban coastline becomes includes Emirates. Sharjah forms the largest part of this metropolitan transition, with dens and neighborhoods, lagoons, industrial areas, and a historic center facing the Gulf. Oman occupies a much smaller coast territory beside it, while Quain remains lower and less intensely built, with broad tidal water and his lands offshore. The borders are easy to cross on the ground but important in administration, planning, and identity. Sharjah also reaches across the country through inland territories and east coast enclaves, making its map far more complex than a simple coastal strip. The Seine or United Emirates, how unified waterfront, trade access, and freshwater shaped settlement long before oil. Today their roads and built-up areas merge into a continuous regional economy, but lagoons, creeks, and undeveloped shorelines still preserve traces of the older coast landscape. At the north end of the Federation, Ras Al Khaimah sits where the Hajar Mountains approached. The Gulf Jebel Jays, the country's highest peak, rises above deply-cut valleys and bare limestone ridges. Seasonal water moved through what is rather than permanent rivers, carrying sediment onto gravel plains at the mountain foot. Settlements and farm historically concentrated where were on-off could be captured and groundwater reached. The coast added fishing, pearling, and trade, while the mountains supplied stone and defensive terrain. Modern roads now climb through landscapes that once required difficult journeys, opening high viewpoints and connecting remote communities. From above, the transition is abrupt. Rugged ridges give way to alluvial fans, dainty farms, towns, and a bright marine edge. Ras Al Khaimah makes clear that the Emirates are not only a desert country. Their north geography belongs to a mountain system extending across the border into Oman. Fujairah is the only emirate located entirely on the eastern side of the country, facing the Gulf of Oman rather than the Arabian Gulf. Here the Hajar Mountains stand close to the coast, leaving an arrow strip for towns, roads, farms, and ports. The east coast receives different marina conditions and slightly different fall patterns from the western lowlands. Its location also provides direct access to Indian Ocean without passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Ports and storage facilities here for carry strategic importance, while beaches, reefs, and mountains centrally support tourism and fishing. Sharjah also holds enclaves along this coast, adding another layer to the political map from above. Fujairah is a compressed landscape. Dark mountains, Pal Wad's coastal settlement, and open blue water occupy the same frame. It is the clearest example of how a small country can contain two distinct maritime worlds. Southwest of the coastal cities, the land rises into the great dune fields of Liwa. This is then ordained edge of the Rubal Khali, the empty quarter, described as the world's largest uninterrupted and mass. Wind sorts and moves grains into longrides, star dunes, and immense or Anges lopes. The Liwas form a broader where groundwater made it a cultivation and permanent settlement passable. Their greenery is narrow compared with the surrounding desert, yet historically it supported communities moving between wells, grazing lands, and coastal markets. Road and modern services now cross distances that once demanded detailed knowledge of dunes and seasons. Oil fields and energy infrastructure also occupy parts of the wider Altif region. From the air, Liwa's geometries, elemental, shadows, geometune crests, cultivated circles, and isolated settlements reveal how life concentrates around water in an environment defined by heat, wind, and scarcity. Lies inland near the Oman border, between Jebel Hafit desert plains and mountain runoff. Its shows are evidence that settlement in this region is fairer than the modern federation. UN's core recognizes the cultural sites of Elaine for remains ranging from prehistoric tombs and settlements to wells, mud brick buildings, and flag irrigation systems. These channels carried groundwater by gravity and distributed it through cultivated land under shared rules. Date palms created shade, allowing other crops to grow beneath it, turning water management into a complete oasis ecology. The city has expanded around these historic green cores, but the contrast remains visible from above. Dense palms form dark islands within a polluted plain. Elaine demonstrates that desert civilization was not simply a response to wild wealth. It was built over millennia through precise knowledge of geology, water, cooperation, and season all amidst. The Emirate's coast is not only beaches, ports, and artificial islands. In sheltered water, gray mangrove survive high salinity, extreme heat, and tidal flooding. Abu Dhabi's environmental authority estimates about 60 square kilometers of mangrove forest across the Emirate, include protected habitat within the capital itself. Their roots slow water, trap cement, and create shelter for fish, crabs, and birds. Offshore islands and seagrass beds support turtles, dugongs, and other marine species, while coastal salt flats form another distinctive habitat. These systems can appear modest beside towers and highways, but they perform work that built infrastructure cannot easily replace. Dredging, reclamation, rising temperatures, and changing water quality all create pressure. From Abu, mangrove channels looked like green veins crossing pale flats and turquoise shallows. They reveal a coastline that is biologically productive precisely. Because land and remain interwoven. The UAE has an arid climate with very hot summers, mild winters, and low, irregular rainfall. Humidity can be times along the coast, while inland areas experiential arger temperatures wings. Rain may arrive in short bursts that rush through what is Andover elm dry channels, even though annual totals remain small. This climate makes water the country's central geographic constraint. Most urban supply comes from energy-intensive desalination, while groundwater remains important for agriculture and landscapes, but is vulnerable to depletion and salinity. Shade cooling and building design shape daily life, and electricity demand rises sharply during summer. Climate change adds further pressure through heat, will rise in warmer coastal water. The challenge is not simply producing more water energy. It is reducing demand, reusing treated water, and designing cities that require less cooling. From above, every green district is also a map of hidden pipes, pumps, and resource choices. The Emirate has turned location into infrastructure. Shipping lanes connect the Gulf with the Indian Ocean and markets across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Jebel became one of the world's major container ports, while Khalifa Port and Fujairah had industrial and strategic capacity. Large airports in Dubai and Abu Dhabi place much of the world's population within icing a long-haul connection. Free zones, warehouses, highways, and digital networks extend these gateways inland. The result is an economy in which aviation, logistics, finance, tourism, construction, and services stand beside energy exports. This network is visible from the air in container grids, aircraft aprons, multiple interchanges, and industrial coastlines. It also explains why a country with limited farmland and in freshwater can support a population of nearly Khaimah. The Emirates import many essentials, but the transport geography gives the usual influence over how goods, people, and capital move between regions. The World Bank estimated the UAE's RHC population at nearly 11 million. Nearly Indian people live in urban areas. Emirates citizens are a minority within a much larger international population. People have arrived from South Asia, the wider Arab world, South Asia, Africa, Europe, and where Arabic is the official language, while English functions widely across work, education, retail and transport. Mosques, old souks, and restored forts remain important cultural anchors, but the everyday soundscape of the cities is multilingual. This diversity supports construction, hospitality, aviation, healthcare, technology, and finance, while also creating questions about housing, mobility, and belonging. Urban form reflects these differences. Luxury waterfronts, worker districts, villa suburbs, and historic centers occupy the same metropolitan region. From above, the country can look tiled and uniform. At street level, it is one of the world's most international societies, held together by shared infrastructure and the institutions of Faisan Emirate Federation. Then X chapter of the Emirates will be shaped by how growth responds to physical limits. Coastal cities must adapt to sea level rise without sacrificing mangroves, tidal flats, and natural water movement. Desert development must protect groundwater and avoid treating empty-looking land as ecologically empty. Mountain roads, quarries, and tourism require full planning in fragile waters. At the same time, solar power, more efficient buildings, water reuse, and public transport can reduce the source cost of urban life. The country's great strength has been its ability to build connections quickly, but resilience will depend on what it chooses not to build as much as what it constructs. From Liwa's dune arcs to Elaine's palm grooves, from the Hajar Mountains Stadabi's engineered shoreline, the United Arab Emirates is a studied concentrated adaptation. Seen from above, its future is in Gandhi between spectacular ambition and the enduring rules of desert, mountain, and sea.